ladies and gentlemen. This is the Brock Lawley program. My name is Brock Lawley. I am your fearless host. Patriots on and off the field, ladies and gentlemen, coming from behind and just wreaking havoc on the opponent. America, Brady. Basically you can say that Patriots, just macro sense, big year for them, right? Huge year from them. Boy, that Super Bowl was a big analogy, wasn't it? My friends, it was really funny. It wasn't me that actually put those things together. I'll just perfectly be honest with you. I don't think like that. When I'm watching a football game, I watch a football game. I have like a compartmentalizing mind. But my leftist friends, all it was when it looked real bleak for the Patriots, of which I am no fan of, by the way. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. But when it looked bleak for the Patriots, all the political analogies, and of course, Brady, it's like BFFs with Trump and all that stuff. So is Belichick and all that stuff. So, my friends were out there making all these posts, threading the political needle. Everything's politics with them. Everything's politics. And then the egg on the face came later. I got to admit, there was a strange, again, much like election night, there was a strange irony to it. And, it's not displeasurable to see the left eat crow. Let's just say that. But I think the big news has to be that Lady Gaga, even though it was crotch shot after crotch shot. Did you guys notice that, by the way? Just crotch shot. Since when does the female performer just spread her legs, full eagle? And then the camera angle actually is up into it. Like coming as if you're like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, like midget, looking up at the performer. All the camera angles up into the female baby making area, if you will. Did anybody else notice that? I mean, it's just like I'm thinking the whole time. I'm thinking if I have this daughter, say I have this daughter sitting next to me. I mean, the Super Bowl is supposed to be like a family event, isn't it? Or at least at one point in time it was. And it's just crotch shot, crotch shot, crotch shot. At one point, Lady Gaga's playing a piano. She gets up on the piano and spreads her legs and like, can you see it? Can you see it? I'm giving you an extra good view. I mean, does this strike anybody else as odd, or are we just is it just full volume all the way up, sex, 24 hours a day, in every context, everywhere? Now, don't get me wrong. I know she's a pop artist. This must sound, 50 Shades of Prude to the average drive-by listener, but come on. Even on a cinematic level, there are other angles to put the camera other than straight up at the hoo-ha. Must be getting old. But anyway, Gaga, by way of politics, didn't really wet the bed, which is good. I mean, that's a good thing. I'm happy about that. Happily surprised, but happy nonetheless. But the reason for this podcast is, of course, once again, Americans take major lectures from companies. So apparently Budweiser's the new Dixie Chicks. NASCAR doesn't really exactly like being lectured to. And look, in case Budweiser's CEO doesn't realize that the Upper East Side and the elitist coastal leftists aren't exactly drinking Budweiser. I could kind of see if it was like, Zima or I don't know, some like New York kind of cocktail, or Smirnoff Ice even. I don't know, whatever. I could maybe see it on a target audience kind of level, but Budweiser lecturing the American people, my. Corporate suicide. I would personally love. I mean, I don't drink Budweiser anyway, but I would love if Budweiser just tanked by way of numbers in the next couple quarters. I am so tired of Americans getting lectures. Tired of it. If it's not a Hollywood pat yourself on the back soapbox, detachment from reality, squeaky, diatribe, it's 84 Lumber lecturing me. Listen, let me say this very clear. And by the way, the fact that Budweiser and 84 Lumber are the two doing it, just hilarious. Let me be very, very clear. America is the most generous, kindest, most compassionate nation, hands down, Nobody even close. Nobody even in the same galaxy. Nobody even in the same stratosphere. You can look at any numbers you want to look at. You can look at any fiscal numbers, how much charity, how much immigration we take. It's remarkable. I'm so tired to the marrow of my bones, sick of getting lectured. If you'd like to lecture immigration policy, lecture Mexico. Mexico will throw you in a dirty prison to rot, likely for eternity, if you cross their borders in any way, shape, and form, not on the up and up. If you'd like to tug on somebody's heartstrings, have a little Guatemalan kid coming up to Mexico and then have them thrown in some literally freshly dug pit. That would be accurate. Having the United States of America with a straight up porous border getting lectures about how we're not compassionate. The United States is not a nation lacking compassion. No. The United States of America is a nation that has laws. And actually having laws isn't lacking compassion either. Laws keep the weak from being trampled. Laws keep the weak from having marauders steal their belongings. Laws keep the weak from being preyed on by criminals. The left is reaching such a point of ridiculousness, and I am so tired of the fear culturally. Like in other words, 84 Lumber had absolutely no fear, apparently, of flyover state, hard hat America, looking at that commercial, feeling manipulated, and then not doing business with their product. Now, 84 Lumber was convinced, probably by some Upper East Side New York, maybe even Soho advertising company, going into them and being like, you know what, you want to be edgy? You want to be brave, 84 Lumber? I'll tell you what you do. Lecture middle America on how horrible they are. After all, they've just voted for Donald Trump. Can you think of a greater sin? Yes, and have this big cinematic commercial where at the end, America's just horrible for having, a nation state, a la border. That's edgy. That's edgy. That's brave, 84 Lumber. I'll just be on the record as saying I don't like boycotts. I don't really want to live in that kind of economy, but I'll just tell you this. Before doing business with both Budweiser and 84 Lumber, I'm not going to be one of these people that says I'm not going to do business with them again because I don't like making those claims. But I'm going to think about that. And if there's a competing company, even if I have to spend a little more, I'll be honest with you, I'll probably do business with the other company. And I'm not even saying that there aren't liberal Americans that feel the opposite way. But the fact that they have absolutely no fear as a company, and instead they fear illegal immigrants or out-of-touch whack job leftists who don't do their own construction anyway, but hire Jose at like 50 cents an hour. The whole thing is ripe with irony. But I am just so tired of that being a precedent. I'm so tired of corporations and businesses fearing some lunatic leftist over the vast majority of Americans. What do I cite you? An election. I cite you an election. The vast majority of Americans feel perfectly fine about having the law implemented on a southern border. And that's what we're talking about. Anything else is hyperbole. Anything else is emotional manipulation. Anything else is outright liberal lying. The American people want a border because we're tired of having a porous border. We're tired of the crime. We're tired of the drugs. We're tired of the illegal immigration, which is just definitely, I don't care what kind of nonsense the left is spoon-feeding you, definitely has a drag on an economy. Look, we're tired of it. It's not wrong or mean or evil to have laws and have those laws enforced. It's not. And when they phrase the argument in a way that emotionally manipulates, or when they phrase the argument in a way that doesn't address those things. Look, take, for example, the Syrian refugee crisis. So on its face, what they'll do is they'll have you think that there are these Americans that don't care about Syrian children. Not true. I care very much about Syrian children. In fact, I care about children in general across the globe. They'll have you believe that people that don't want hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees unvetted washing up on the shores are just heartless Neanderthal cretins. No, all you have to do is a little tiny bit of research and you realize that issue is very complicated. Very complicated. You have very real threats by way of terror. Anybody who denies that is just I've either lying out of omission or outright out to lunch by way of the state of the world. But that's not even the whole issue. If you have a Syrian refugee crisis brought about, by the way, from leftist foreign policy, do nothing leftist foreign policy, how about we look into solutions that don't mean clashing civilizations and helicoptering hundreds of thousands of people into a Western country by which they don't even like? How about we solve problems by maybe having safe spaces, maybe using Saudi Arabia and their hundreds of thousands of Mecca tents and there's a million solutions we could have. Also humanitarian driven, also compassionate. Why are those not allowed? Why is it only the leftist manipulation tactic or you're a horrible person? You see, that's because it's all designed that way. Because listen, here's the little secret. Leftists don't care about Syrian refugees. Leftists care about power. What stands between them and power? Donald Trump and this certain manipulation angle on the heartstrings of America. This is straight out of central casting. This is straight out of the playbook. Look, nobody's serious about talking about these issues, so I don't even engage the issue because it's not worth talking about because it's not what the point is. The point is just attack anybody who isn't a leftist, who doesn't agree with leftism. It's just an ends to a means. Do you think they care about African Americans that are rotting away in our own cities? That illegal immigration right now affects economically, educationally? No. It's all ends to a means. They'll use women, they'll use gays, they'll use blacks, they'll use Syrian refugees, they'll use whatever the Johnny-come-lately issue is, but it's always the same gain and it's always the same end, which is power. Leftist power. Leftist power. That's it. So what it's all about. And those of us who know it are not easily manipulated by ridiculous Super Bowl commercials that are not brave or edgy, but in my opinion, just corporate suicide. Look, my advice would be that a company that condescends to you like 84 Lumber did and like Budweiser does, make them pay for it with your purchases. That's what I would advise you to do, but you can do whatever you want. You know, it's a free market. I like that. Let the consequences, let the chips fall where they will. My prediction is that the Dixie Chicks found very quickly that you don't go over abroad and start trashing the president to the NASCAR crowd, or you're not going to sell records. My advice to 84 Lumber is flyover state America doesn't really need you chewing on their ear by way of illegal immigration. Just my opinion. The show is nothing but that. Thank you for listening to the Brock Lawley program. Be a people of fortitude, character, and courage.
America is a nation of believers. So many faith leaders, very, very important people to me from across our magnificent nation. This gathering is a testament to the power of faith and is one of the great customs of our nation.
À Brock Lawley Productions.